Shall we dive in?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay, this is the nervous part. Let's start with something that might trigger you a little. And I know it did trigger me a couple years ago, which was that you are actually not stuck. You're just not feeling safe to have more. So I know that sounds pretty bold for the people who haven't heard this yet. But if you've been repeating the same patterns over and over again, and ending up in the same dynamics and doing all the healing, but nothing really shifts, this episode is for you. Because what if the problem isn't your discipline, not your mindset, not even your healing journey, but your nervous system? I get goosebumps saying this, you know.
Like,
It speaks to you, does
yeah,
it?
yeah.
And today I'm joined by someone very special who brings such a powerful perspective into this conversation. So, hi, Kati.
Hi, Leah. So nice to finally do this together.
Yes, thanks for being here. I'm so happy we are doing this. Kati offers nervous system coaching, right?
Yeah, correct.
And has been on a deep healing journey herself for over a decade. So, and it was not until she actually found the nervous system work where she found true healing.
You're right, girl.
So today we are diving into so many topics which women have been experiencing, which is feeling stuck in life, being so hyper independent, right? It's a big topic for us.
Yeah, big one.
And really struggling to receive anything. So all of these things are survival mode, right? Because here's the truth. All these patterns you created as a child actually protected you, right?
That's the beauty of it. Yeah.
These exact patterns are keeping you away from the life you actually desire. And in my work, especially in return to receiving, I see this all the time. Women are so strong, so capable, so put together, but they're actually struggling to receive support, to even receive love, softness, even trust. So in this episode, we are actually going to talk about what being stuck actually means, how your nervous system keeps you in survival mode, where we all want to get out, right? And why hyper-independence is not your personality. It's not. We are over this part, right? We are so done. We are done.
Yeah, it's not us. Mm-mm.
And how you start shifting into safety, trust, and receiving. Because you're not here to survive life. You're really here to enjoy it. You're here to really feel everything. Yeah. So let's dive in.
Yeah, let's dive in.
What does actually being stuck mean for you?
Yeah, I was just about to continue for that because all of that is not possible when you feel stuck. Well, in nervous system terms, being stuck just simply means that your system doesn't believe that the life you want is safe for you yet. So that's what the stuckness is. It's keeping you in that survival mode, which we're going to talk about later a bit more about that. So basically, the predictable route that your system knows is always the number one choice over the unknown because there's no evidence yet that the unknown can be safe for you. Yeah. So examples of stuckness can be that you know what you want in life. Like, you know, this life is not the one, not everything I can experience in this lifetime. You want something more, but your system doesn't let you get there. Self-sabotaging, all these different things that stops you from getting there. Or it can be the complete opposite. Like, you can be completely lost. That's my own experience, my early 20s, lost in life, just drift. I always say, like, I'm drifting through life. I have no control over it. And I just feel like I'm not going anywhere. So it can be either way. You can experience stuckness in many different ways of your life. And I think it's really important to know what is actually a nervous system. And when we're talking about nervous system, I'm talking about autonomic nervous system. So that is the system in you and I, our listeners, in every one of us, who literally is responsible of all of our actions, like how we deal with the world, like what we think, how we feel, how we respond. Well, we're going to talk about it later, but how we're going to react to things, you know? So it's responsible of all of that. But it's also our number one protector. So our nervous system, since we're born until we die, its one priority is to keep us safe.
Right.
And it never has failed on that. Not a single time, even though it might feel sometimes that why my system is against me, why my body doesn't let me go there. But we're going to talk about it in this episode, and the listeners and you, everybody will understand better that it's actually trying to protect us, keep us safe. not against us. So I feel like that's really important to kind of really understand that it has our back, and it always has had it.
And you know what you just said like spoke to me so much, that you said we are actually responsible, and we actually are. And it sometimes feels so hard to be responsible, or like feeling like, oh, this is all on me.
Yeah.
And it's not being in the victimhood, right?
Yeah.
It's taking responsibility, how you react, how you respond,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. But that is only possible when your system feels enough safety, right? Because when we're in that survival mode, we have really no control over. It's coming
Yeah.
from these instincts, how we react.
Yeah.
So that is the key, and I can't wait to explore further how we're going to get there.
Yes.
But before we get there, I think there's certain things that we really need to understand about our nervous system. There's this thing called neuroception. So it's kind of like the threat detector. So it's scanning the environment 24/7 every second, and it's making decisions nonstop, whether we are safe, in danger, or in life-threatening conditions. And based on that decision, it chooses the appropriate response, because all the nervous system's responses, they're actually made for those conditions. They have a purpose. They're not just there, to annoy us or bug us. They really have a purpose. But the fact is, it's not only choosing from the current like cues of safety of the environment or unsafety. It's always reflecting to our whole lived experience. So we have this kind of like a data bank of our whole past lives. And it's always comparing the current event to the past. And based on the past, it's making the decision if this is safe or not. So many of us say, like, it's okay, like my past happened, it just passed, but it has actually so much. It matters. It affects still to the current moment, how we react to the things. So those are really important points to really understand and become aware of. And because our nervous system cares so much of our safety, it's so insane to me that when we are kids, it actually learns these strategies, how to make sure we're safe, even in unsafe conditions. Like, when there's no safety, no connection to your caregivers, your system still comes up with these strategies, how to make that possible for you.
So crazy.
I know, this is like, so me, it's just so mind-blowing. And hyper independence that we're both very familiar with in our lives, that is not who we are. It's actually a strategy our system developed for us. So in a conditions, right, when you were young as a child, maybe the connection and safety wasn't always there for a caregiver. Sometimes it was, sometimes wasn't. So you cannot trust that it's always there. So you can't lean on others to make sure you get that safety. So you had to provide it for yourself.
Right.
And you become this hardened version of yourself that needs to be in control of the situations that actually were out of control. How heavy must that feel? So heavy. Imagine as a child, when you were meant to be a child, you just had to grow up and become an adult way too early.
Exactly.
And that is basically hyper independence, how it's developed. And also, I just want to name a few, which we might not go very deep into today because that's maybe a next episode. But people pleasing is one of those strategies, and it's born in different conditions. Maybe you learned that in order to keep the calm and safety in your home environment, you learned that, okay, I can just be small and agreeable, and that's how I keep the safety and calm. And perfectionism is one of them as well. So you learned that your love wasn't unconditional. The love was conditional. So you learn to perform to receive that love and connection. And these are like, we all individuals, right? We're unique. So we just choose whatever strategy works best in the conditions that we were in and go from there. And I just find it really so beautiful that our system is able to do that. Imagine, we're never really alone. Like, we always have our nervous system that has our back. Yeah, I think it's really beautiful. So I think the biggest takeaway, if somebody's going to get from this episode, I think it's the fact that these are not our personalities. They're not us. They are our nervous system adaptations to the environment that wasn't safe. And when the healing cannot really happen when the system is experiencing overwhelm. So it's only possible when your system feels enough safety to let the guards down. Yeah, I think just want to name one thing. So when our system experiences enough of that safety, we're going to later talk about how to build that safety. But it basically happens small moments of building the capacity to hold more in your system.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. And I think this is such a powerful conversation, and how it actually connects to my topics. And I love that so much, that we kind of explored and found each other again.
I know. Imagine, we've known for 10 years, about how our paths went and suddenly
Yes.
aligned.
Crazy.
It is wild.
Yeah. So you talked about all the nervous system patterns, and these nervous system patterns actually are in the feminine and masculine energetics. And if you haven't heard about feminine and masculine energetics, this is the things how we do things. So, for example, how we go about structure. Either we control it or we just do it. Or how we receive. Do we receive or are we getting it? So there is this feminine, wounded feminine, and there's this wounded masculine as well. So you can have healthy masculine energy within you, but you can also have wounded masculine energy within you. And therefore, this energetics, which are the patterns of it, right? And right being connected to the nervous system.
Ta-da!
So it's so beautiful, isn't it?
I know, it is.
When we started this topic, I felt like, whoa.
I learned so much when we started sharing our own experiences. It's like, holy moly, they're all connected and they all have the same core, you know?
Yes, exactly. So what I see so often in women, they're stuck in survival mode. They're super hyper independent. And as you said, this nervous system regulation is just from being a child, and haven't been healed and integrated and being embodied, because we can know so many things, but do we really embody them? Do we really integrate them, right? So the wounded masculine can look like this. It can be like over-functioning, super hyper independent, trying to over deliver, always be on. And it's like, it feels like you can never take a breath, quite literally, right? So when you are like in this healthy masculine over functioning, just doing, there's no way that you can actually breathe through it, right? So the opposite of a wounded masculine is actually being structured, provide safety, because structure can provide safety, right? And then also holding space, which was a big one for me. I never actually experienced to hold space, not only for that other people can hold space for me, but I can hold space for myself, because that's the beauty of it. We do have masculine and feminine energy within us. So we love to blame others, My man has to do this, my man has to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like blaming the other, but did we actually look at our own wounds? Usually this is a reflection. It's a reflection of us and seeing where we can look, what we can look at and what we still have to work through, So as you said, as a child, there's happening a lot of wounds here in the masculine and feminine energy. As you already said, the children don't experience in that way safety. They don't experience emotional support, and maybe even, and that's I think one of the worst parts, or they actually think it is conditional love, right? I mean, we all know that our parents carry unconditional love for us, but it doesn't mean that they show this to us, right? So this is where the wounds get created, from in the masculine energy, but also in the feminine energy. So the feminine was actually never meant to live in survival mode. And as we grow up, and that doesn't mean feminine as a woman, it means the feminine energy. So man is carrying feminine energy as much as women, but the women are usually thriving more in the feminine energy, and the men are usually thriving more in the masculine energy. But we still need the balance within us, right? So the feminine really thrives in trust, in receiving, in flowing, even in movement, and like really truly being. This is where the magnetism gets created between the feminine and the masculine energy, not only with other people, but again within us.
Right. Is it like this kind of balance, like a dance within yourself?
Within
masculine and
yourself.
feminine.
Of course, also in the relationships, because usually when people, let's say a woman is a bit more in their masculine, she would automatically attract someone as a man or whoever they choose as a partner, which is a bit more feminine, sorry.
Yeah, correct.
Yes. So this is how the people create or attract each other, but they also create safety within because they look externally, you know? And creating a balance in a relationship is probably the hardest thing to do because you are so in your patterns and you attracted each other because of that.
Right. How can you go from there to change it?
So how do we go from there? Because we women, we love to like, and probably men too, yeah. But I mean, we're usually in the safe space with women and trying to figure out our relationship stuff and what is true, but it is not necessarily true or only half true, is that we can, as a feminine, only soften when the masculine creates safety. So if we don't feel safe, we cannot flow, we cannot be soft, but also this is not necessarily responsibility of the partner.
I was just getting there.
Yes. Yeah. It's within us, you know, and this is so important to really look at. And this is exactly what we talked about before, taking your own responsibility and looking at yourself. And when you actually heal your masculine, you will automatically heal the feminine, you know? And it's the other way around. If you are in the wounded feminine, so where you're like really depending, codepending, and I need you, and all this energy, that's the wounded feminine, right? And it cannot attract this healthy masculinity, you know? So this is like it goes so deep, and it is, right? It's connected to the nervous system.
Exactly. I mean, when you were talking to me, my brain is going fight or flight, like finding the scientific way what these are. Like,
Right.
absolutely, there's the same qualities, right?
Yes. It's so beautiful. So when the nervous system is actually dysregulated, the feminine can actually feel really be unsafe, you know? She can feel so unsafe, and how can you go from there if your nervous system is not regulated? There is no way of being soft if you're constantly in the flight or fight, right? Or in the freeze. Yeah, and we have so many other parts of it, right? We're not going into this today.
We're gonna go to the few of them though, just to become aware. But yeah, so many there. Yeah.
So many women, they say they want to receive, they want to feel this unconditional love, they want to be supported. But as soon as this happens, we're like, nope,
I so know that pattern. I so know that.
this does not feel safe for me.
This feels weird.
This is so off. Let's go back what feels safe, you know? But honestly, this is the most beautiful part in it. And I think that's why we are like thriving in this conversation so much, is because the nervous system thinks that softness is danger in that moment. Because whenever we were a child, we were not allowed to feel soft.
Nah, it wasn't safe to soften or relax even for a moment. Yeah.
And that's why healing isn't just mindset work. And I keep saying this to my ladies. It goes through the body, it goes through the nervous system, right? You cannot affirm yourself to receiving if you're in this fight or flight, if you're in this freeze, if you not feel safe.
No,
It's not physically possible.
nothing goes through if you're in that energy.
As much as you know it,
Uh-huh.
it's not possible.
Know it here is not
Mhm.
connected if you
It's
feel
not connected.
unsafe here. Yeah.
Exactly. So, as we talked about already, the nervous system always chooses familiar over unfamiliar because it wants to protect us, right?
Exactly. And the thing is, like, the familiar is not always good for us. And often, actually, we feel like, I feel so unwell in this, what feels familiar. But our system still keeps choosing it because it can predict the next step. That's the way it can keep you safe, by knowing what's going to happen. Because the new unknown that actually might be healthier for you, your system doesn't know yet that it's safe. It's just like, it makes so much sense. And this is how we stay stuck in the survival mode. Even though it's not good for us, it makes us unhealthy, but that's what our system knows, and that's what it's going to stick to. And I think the important thing is to bring up that it's not always this dramatic, like anxiety or panic attacks. That is one of the survival modes.
Yeah.
But it's not all. It can be very subtle. You can just feel very meh, about life. And that is your system being in a survival mode, even though it might not feel that. And that's why you're confused. What's happening? Why I don't feel these things like other people feel. It's always, as we talked earlier, it's very individual what our system will choose. But I think it would be beneficial to go through a few of them so people can recognize where they might be at and just share some characteristic of each state. So I think the most known one is fight or flight, which is all about this sympathetic energy in our system, activation. Like it's literally our blood is flooding to our limbs. So we are ready to flee or fight the threat. Like there's no blood flow to our cognitive, our brain, our prefrontal cortex, or our digestion or hormones. And that serves a purpose, because when we actually are in danger, we have to use our skills, our body to run or fight. But when it becomes chronic, when you're constantly in the state, that's when the problems start. So you might be experiencing this urgency energy, like you're always in a rush. You can't stop. You need to do, because if you don't know what's going to happen. And you might feel the need for control, and you might be very defensive, always need to be right, very impatient, and very irritated easily. You're always on edge, And this is the sympathetic energy. And those are the kind of signs that you can look about yourself. Like, okay, I am feeling a lot of those, and get curious. Might your system be in this fight or flight most of the time? So this is our nervous system first option when it detects a threat. Sympathetic activation. But there's also another one called freeze, which you mentioned earlier. So this is actually a blended state. So it has both that activation energy and also that shutdown preservation energy. So it has both. So from outside, you might look so chill and fine, but inside, there's a chaos.
Yes.
You're overthinking, over analyzing, but still can't make a move. But you just think and analyze. Or you might also feel numb at times, or a bit disconnected even yourself. And your mind, this is my own experience. I was spending a long time in that. My mind just felt blank. Like I wasn't creative. I couldn't think even what I want in life. And that can be so confusing. And have this self-shame, like, what's wrong with me? People are going on with their lives, and I just don't even know what I want to do with my life. I'm 35, So this is these are the thoughts that people are going through. And I really just want to acknowledge that there's always a reason for that. It's not that something is wrong with you, or you're not capable, or you're lazy. Like these are all maybe that society can throw at us, or excuses we make ourselves. But it really comes down of where is your nervous system at? So this is especially a very confusing state to be at, freeze. Then there's a third one, which is the complete shutdown. But this is the last option our system will choose. When it thinks that I've tried everything else already, there's nothing left to do. I collapse. And those are the states when you feel like you just can't get out of bed, and you really feel like no passion for life. You might have lost it. It's I don't even know. No one really cares what I'm doing. I don't even care what I'm doing. And you might just feeling this completely dissociation, actually. So you might go through life. Your body is there in a social gatherings, but your mind is not there. Like you are there, but you're not there. And actually, this happened to myself. I don't have many memories of certain periods of my life, because my body was in this shutdown mode during those times. And it's really that was really confusing to me first, why I don't remember my life. But when I learned about nervous system, it all started to make sense. And you know what? I just want to name one thing, how this shutdown mode really serves in animal kingdom. So when it comes to prey and predator, when the predator catches the prey, their system put them into shutdown. So they actually don't feel the pain that much when they're about to die. Or a smart thing, when they put them in this, they play dead, the animals. So the predator can look away and they have a chance to run away. Yeah. So the system is so smart. It creates these things to make always sure that you feel the safest possible in the conditions that are not safe. It's just the fact for me, knowing this stuff just brought so much compassion for myself. Like I'm not broken, This is so beautiful what my system does for me. And yeah, can really shift your whole perspective about yourself. And I do want to name a fourth one, which is called fawn. So I think you might have heard it, people might have heard it, but it's not as commonly spoken as these three, because it's actually not a nervous system state. It's more of a strategy that we talked earlier, that your system developed when you were young. So this is a developing conditions where it really wasn't safe. So when you would have used your voice or taken space, the connection was withdrawn from you. or argument would have come, or you were people were like, it wasn't safe for you to really express your needs. So you learn to, I'm going to hold them within. I'm just going to agree what they say. And that's how I'm going to keep the connection and safety to my caregivers. So fawning, and as an adult, it can still stay with us and we can become people pleasers. Like, hard to set boundaries, hard to express our needs. And this can really make our life a lot smaller and prevent us from these authentic connections and really showing ourselves in those connections. People really don't get to know us when we are in this fawn state. So yeah, I just wanted to name that as well. It's really, because that can be really helpful for somebody to recognize, oh, that might be me.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Like, this is so powerful, really.
Yeah, right? To get to know all this stuff. It's so amazing. And well, now that we have the awareness, right? Of course, it's very important to not get stuck in the victim mode, as you and I have discussed multiple times, but actually to make something with that awareness, right? So, how to start moving out of this survival mode? First of all, it's all about the awareness of where we talk what's happening within you, about your nervous system, and especially those triggers, because we get triggered all the time. So, the thing is to start getting curious, like, what is this trigger trying to tell me? Where is it actually originated from? The history, and how old was that part when this feeling was maybe felt for the first time? Because when you get triggered in a present moment, it hardly ever is about the present moment. It's something that happened before. And once we have built that awareness, it's very important to start practicing consistent small moments of regulating your nervous system. And that doesn't happen overnight. I have so many women come to me, Kati, how can I fix this? Can you help me? How can I feel better tomorrow? I'm like, if it took years for your system to build this mechanism to protect you, it's not going to go away overnight. Like, it takes time, it takes consistency. But the key is to start experiencing more of those regulating moments daily, so your system get used to that regulated feeling, so it doesn't feel so unknown and unsafe anymore. So the baseline starts building up. What is the baseline for you when you start practicing more of that? It's going to be regulation at some point, right? And then there is a few more steps, and I think you are big on this. I don't know if you would like to share about feeling empathy towards yourself and others in your healing journey.
It's usually the moments where there is a fallback, right? There will be fallbacks. There will be moments where you actually feel really triggered. And then you think, my God, like, I thought I did all this work.
I know.
What happened? It's like, I'm so broken. Like, I have to do so much shadow work again. You know, this is like,
I thought we were over this already.
you're like, here you go again, you know? So, but the key, like, as you already said, is to catch yourself, but also in these moments is give yourself grace if you feel triggered and you react, right? And at the same time, giving the other person compassion, you know? Because we've all been, how do you say this? We've all been conditioned in this environment and directly from our parents, from everything what happened to us, even from our ancestors. We're not going to go that deep, but this is all part of us. And to give this other person compassion will give you so much healing, you know?
You're so right, like, to, at least for help for me, is to see like my parents as little children, 5-year-olds,
Yes.
the conditions they were growing in. Like you said, it's all coming down. It's learned. It's learned from there. And to have that compassion, it doesn't mean that you forgive them for what you do. That's a very separate thing, but just that really can help for yourself when you think about where they come from.
Yeah. Not that so much. And doing all the shadow work, what I just talked about, like, oh my God, like I have to do this again. And like, but you know, from every shadow, like there is light at the end of the tunnel. And it is the right doorway bringing you back to your true self. You know, it's just a doorway away.
Right? There's wisdom in that.
There's so much wisdom in that. Yes.
I love that when you said doorway, and it's coming back to yourself, right? Learning from those shadows.
Yeah. And in these moments, because you said like it's not necessarily, you cannot necessarily see this all the time, but when this like really intense moments come up where you really feel anxiety or like a really dysregulated nervous system, there is so many powerful tools there. right?
There is. So we should also talk about what to do in those moments, because it's easy to advise like, oh, this and this, but we need tangible tools. Like, what can I do? And this whole nervous system regulation concept is sometimes so confusing, because it's like, what is it really? I think I really want to name what is regulation to start with, because people, there's a misconception of that. You think like regulation means that I have to stay calm and I should not feel all these big emotions, anger, frustration, all that. But it's opposite of that. Regulation simply means that you're building the capacity in your system to hold more. So when those big emotions come, you can be present with them without your system jumping into dysregulation. That is capacity building to actually feel more. That's such a big part what I really want to highlight. And that was a big shift for me when I understood about that. I was like, okay, cool. So I don't need to control and dim it, like, put myself down and calm myself all the time. It's actually feeling more. So for me, about the tools, we're going to talk about a little bit about those. For me, it was a big thing about like starting to trust the consistency again. When you come from a childhood where it was really unpredictable, chaotic at times, unsafe, really unsafe physically and emotionally, you can't trust anything. If it stays good for a while, you can't trust it's going to stay for longer. It can change any given moment. So for me, it was really beneficial to start building my own routines for myself, my morning coffee, a sunrise routine, my yoga, my evening journaling.
Love your stories, by the way.
I feel like people are bored with that, but it's just what I love. Like
No.
those moments of presence every day brings me so much joy. And gym was actually a big part for me to build that consistency. Because you know what? My system learned, okay, what follows this is safe. It created predictability, which translates immediately to our nervous system safety. It means safety. So that's something I never had in my life. And I was actually avoiding planning and routines, so that I never had this consistency in my life. So of course, teaching it wasn't easy at first, but when I started feeling it and trusting the consistency, man, it feels so good. Like my system felt so calm. It is insane. And it's insane how much more capacity I got from that when the baseline was more regulated. And then another thing for me that many people might miss in their healing journey is really slowing down, especially for someone who's been living in that fight or flight or freeze most of their life, And slowing down can feel so dangerous. As you mentioned, like it was never safe to just be, because the threat can come from anywhere. So actually, you can experience more dysregulation at first when you start slowing down. And that's why it's super important that you don't expect much from yourself at first. Like, don't expect you can sit 1.5 hours in meditation when you've been fight or flight for your whole life. Like, start from very small things, like, practical thing, like when you're on the street and your body's like, or in the bike, I need to pass that bike, pass that car. I think I can handle 2 minutes behind it. Small steps at a time, to teaching your system like, hey, it's safe for us to slow down.
Especially in Bali.
It's the hardest.
But you learn so much patience here. You learn, don't
Well,
you?
if you want to learn, not everybody learn.
Yeah, not everybody. But the ones who are staying, like us.
The ones who, when you stay 10 years here, you're gonna learn.
You gotta learn.
So funny. And the thing I talked earlier about regulation, there's actually a term for that in polyvagal theory, neural exercise. It just simply means a moment of presence, feeling more here and now in your adult self, right? It's very important to distinct that, because often when we get triggered, it's the younger part that comes online, takes over. But when we are doing things that make us feel here and now, like for me, it's about journaling, having a cup of coffee, and even my favorite, when I'm on the walks, I just, have an eye contact with a stranger and say hi. That's in real time teaching your system that connection is safe. Like, it's those small moments, whatever, and it's different for everybody. And I can't wait to hear what it is for you, these neural exercises. And one big thing, I think for both you and I, as far as I know, is are we twins here? No, it's to learn to trust others, and that starts literally by showing and trying with small things, like the things you use to take care of yourself, organizing trips, booking this and that, or cleaning. Like, slowly start letting somebody else to do that for you, but not all of it, because that's going to jump your system into protection.
And you starting at point number one.
Yeah, you go back there again. No, but it's a small thing. This is really important. When you start leaning on others, start from small. It can truly be your friendship even, or your partnership. You really like start asking for help for them. Like, could you do this for me today? I'm really busy. Or if that feels too much, even just expressing your true needs, like rather than keeping them in. And it's just like taking up more space and trusting in others to also do things for you.
Yes. And I think this is like a really interesting part, to prove your nervous system wrong.
Yes.
You know, prove it wrong. Like, this is safe.
Yeah. New safe experience. Hello, nothing happened.
We can trust this, you know? And I think this is so beautiful. And like, see that as a challenge to like say, okay, I'm gonna prove myself and my beliefs wrong.
Yeah. One small thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
In this tiny, small moments, which are actually the most important ones.
Exactly. And that's exactly where that is the core of everything. You prove it that things can be different now, because, and also by being present here and now, shows your system we're not in the past anymore.
And it's so interesting that you said, like, when you were on the bike and you're like hustling and you're just like, you took a breath, right?
Took a breath, yeah. Sometimes I don't breathe when I ride my bike. I catch myself, I'm holding my breath.
Exactly. Like, this is the best thing where you can actually practice breathwork. I'm telling you.
Tell me
I know.
more.
So even, and especially when I'm driving a bike, I'm already trying to use the small ways, you know, where you don't have that much like nervous system input, you know, like where you're like completely overwhelmed. But just your thoughts already, you know, your thoughts are gonna come up and you're like in this like thinking mode because you can't distract yourself. You're in it, you know? I mean, you're kind of on flight mode, right? Yeah. And you're just like driving through the streets and, oh my God, like, I have to do this, I have to do that. Oh, no.
Fighting against the cars and everybody there.
You're like, wait a second, you know? This is not what I want, you know? I want to feel safe in this moment. And what I do is really, and I catch myself, and this is quite a lot under the bike, which is so funny, you know? And especially, I think, because you have all this environment, things coming at you, it's easier that your nervous system is like really building up and you're like completely nervous. Really actually taking a breath, you know? And we just did that, right?
We did earlier before we started. It was so good.
And it's such a powerful tool. And the funny part was also when you mentioned, this feels a bit tight here. Like, it feels like I don't know, I'm holding back or something, right? This is basically your nervous system. You are reteaching your nervous system in this moment. Like, I am safe, you know, and it feels uncomfortable because you're like, no, I'm not safe. Like, I'm for the first time in this podcast studio. Like, how are we gonna like do this?
Yeah. Threat.
Even while you're breathing, but if you breathe through that, like really taking the time until you like completely relax and you start yawning, you know. And we just did this 4-7-8 breathwork technique. I'm a breathwork facilitator. So this one is really powerful because the exhale is longer than the inhale and it has a pause in between. So there's 4 seconds as we did before. 4 seconds we were breathing in, 7 seconds we were holding the breath, and 8 seconds we were breathing out. So the longer you breathe out, you will tell your nervous system, I am safe. And I think the most beautiful thing, when you are already feeling more relaxed, say this out loud to yourself, I am safe. It will really connect all the dots your body needs to hear, like your mind, your body, like everything will create safety within.
So it's the affirmations with the movement, right? Because earlier we talked about affirmations by themselves don't really work if your body is in that activation. But here your body is calming down and you're saying those things.
And then another part what you just talked about, like affirmations via movement. And this is why it's so powerful to actually move your body and do affirmations at the same time. Yeah. So affirmations, which can be even in a song, you know, our bestie did a song for me.
I love that. I'm listening that all the time.
I mean, it comes from the return to receiving method, right? And it's like, it speaks to us so much because it's hyper independence, it's like survival mode, it's like all these things we have been working through, you know. And moving your body and affirming your body that you are good, that you are now safe, is the most powerful thing. You will feel emotions coming up, you know, especially when you dance, and you're affirming yourself that you are ready to receive, you know, you're ready to accept support. You are safe in the unknown, I think it's so powerful, and do this. Like, try to do this. I think I'm gonna link the song.
Yes. I love that song. I listen to that every morning and I get like such a high vibrations from that. I need my own song.
Bless Maggie.
I
Bless
know,
her.
such a talent.
So I think let's link it. Yeah, let's link it down. And yeah, I think it's so powerful. Just a little gift, right? And then let all the emotions come through. Like, really let them out and embrace them, and keep saying to yourself, this is safe to let them out, you know? It's so
So
important.
beautiful. Because, you know, we used to want that from our caregivers to be there for us and affirm us. And that's the thing, like, we can give that to ourselves, right? And that's when the healing really starts, when you have that realization.
And you told me about this 90 seconds rule. Can you tell? I mean, I know this rule, but I think you just
Yeah.
told me about this again.
So, yeah, actually, it was my coach that I hired for myself back in the day. In our sessions, right? It was my first time having coaching. I started having like really crying, and it was so affirming and calming when he really told me that the science behind it. Like, it's okay to let that build up, because 90 seconds and it will come down, you know, naturally, unless your mind keeps spiraling. But we weren't doing that in a session. We just let it come. And that kind of let me really go to the peak of it and really cry. And I noticed it calmed down, you know? It was like
it
magic.
actually works.
It actually
you know?
works. And I will
The science is
I know, and I always remember that. Like, whenever things come up, I'm like, it's safe to let it come because I know it will come down. Same like surfing. I always tell, when there's big waves, there's after a small wave when I can go back home safe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like these moments where things trigger you, or like memories coming up, I think these are the hardest ones, you know? And when you actually embrace this 90 seconds rule, it gives your nervous system a sense of safety, you know, because the mind and the nervous system kind of works together, you know?
All of our systems work together.
So, yeah, and then, as I said before, give yourself grace on your healing journey, you know? And it doesn't have to be perfect, and it can be good for 1 or 2 years, and there can be things coming up again, you know?
That is human. We
It
never
is so human.
become this whole perfect thing, because we already are that, but things will still trigger. But now we just have the better tools, right? To really, an awareness to be with those triggers.
We are so lucky. We are so lucky, actually, that we are this generation. I feel so blessed, truly, you know, that we have these tools. And this is exactly where we can even speak compassion again to our parents, that they didn't have these tools, or they didn't have the capacity, because they were still like in this, especially in our country, in Germany, there are still like war wounds. And that's how they raised our parents, you know? So, yeah, really thinking of this like gives you even a sense of peace, right?
We're so privileged. We truly are. With this, social media has many sides, but that's where I had the biggest realizations about myself, when I saw something there and I was like, hold on, that's me. Like, without that, well, our parents didn't have that. They had a library with one psychology book there. No one rented it. So imagine.
It was embarrassing.
Yes, it's shameful, probably.
Yes, no, we're proud of doing
I
this.
know.
Like,
I love
everyone, yes, and everyone is like, yes, good for you, you know, good for you. You're working on yourself. And yeah, we can really feel truly blessed, right?
So I don't know, Leah, this been so amazing and powerful for me. Like, today, have this chat with you. I feel like so much more connected, and there's so much more expansion in the awareness and everything. And I wanna know a bit more of your offering, because I know you have a method that you're providing now for women. So can you tell a little bit
Yes.
more about that?
Yes. So I created this method through my experience and really feeling what other people feeling. And it's about where women really struggle, as I already said before, struggle in life, struggle to receive support, struggle with hyper independence, but don't know how to get out of this, you know? This is a big one. Scared to be seen as their true, authentic self for all of us. I think everyone can resonate with this, you know. So, return to receiving is a space where women can really learn how to rewire their own patterns through nervous system regulation, emotional release, and deep inner healing, you know. I think this is the part where everything will connect, you know, from your childhood, from even being in the womb, from even your ancestors until you're now, to really rewire your limiting beliefs and then release them, integrate new ones, and regulate your nervous system that these new patterns are safe, right? No more protection mode. Yeah. Love doesn't have to be earned, and it's never the case. That is not true love, right? And the biggest one for us, control is not safety.
Yeah, that doesn't equal control doesn't equal safety.
Control is not equal to safety. Yes. And because of the end of the day, it's not becoming a different woman, right? It's actually finding yourself back to your true self, to who you truly are, and also who you truly want to be.
Yeah. I wish I had that provided to me in my early 20s. That sounds exactly what I would have needed at that age. I'm so glad you're offering that.
Yes. I hope I will make so much change. Some people already really experience a lot of beautiful change. And I feel so blessed in supporting them and really speaking from my own experience, how this really shifted so much, not only within me, but also in my relationships, you know, setting boundaries. That's a big one. And I think it's a big part of your coaching, right?
Yeah, God, I feel like we have such a similar offering, but in a different format. Everything that you just said resonates me so well. And that's actually part of my offering as well. I offer one-on-one coaching under the name Safety Within Coaching. So for me, the name is truly connected to the core of the coaching, core of the work, which is to build more safety inside of you in order to experience the life to the fullest. And my work is nervous system informed and polyvagal informed, which just simply means that I have a deep understanding of our nervous systems and how they function. And I will help you to make sense of your own nervous system, right? So you can really increase your awareness of yourself and feel more connected and find the answers within. And for me, because my personal journey is through coaching, what really shifted many things for me, experiencing being the client, right? So I know the power of that because we all are capable. We are whole beings, right? We have the answers. It's just you need enough safety. You need a safe other to hold a space for you and to ask the right questions, to reflect, and simply just being there for you. That can already let our system to really surrender and, let the guards down and truly get connected to the wisdom that we have inside of us. So I feel really resonated to serve women who have been feeling the stuckness in their life, loss of direction, struggling, setting boundaries, all these themes that I went through as well myself and came out of that on the other side, feeling more alive, experience a life more fuller, really taking it in the whole life and stop being small. So I really want to support women who are struggling in similar situations and support that be there for in their journey to, really discover the fullest selves of themselves. So yeah.
I love that so much. And like as you said, that it's so powerful to get yourself a guide or get yourself a coach or a mentor because they can see your blind spots. I could have not experienced my healing, my true healing, just with myself. There needs to be someone who can see the blind spots where you would never think to look, you know? And I think this is so powerful that we have this now. In what generation are we in right now? I don't know.
I don't know even.
But that we have this now. We have these tools,
So much available to support. There's so much support in different forms,
Yes.
and everybody can choose whatever feels the best for them, right?
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's so beautiful, right? And when you said about the blind spots, I'm like, that's exactly what coaching is about. Because you learn to notice the cues of the person that they might not see themselves when they're speaking, all about the body, the language, what the body is showing. You might speak something, but the body is showing different. And as a coach, you observe those and reflect them back. And that's when the magic happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Kati, thank you so much. It was
Thank
so
you, Lea.
good. I had so much fun and I learned so much. Even we like talked through a lot of things, But oh my God, this is next level. And like, imagine coaching with you. Whoa, like that would probably blow my mind, you know?
Same, likewise, same words. And I'm really looking forward to our next episode.
Yes, yes.
Like we're gonna dive in. So thank you so
go.
much.